I think there's been a transformation uh, since the early 70s to now. See, it's almost 50 years since women's cricket started in India. I will never say, okay, you're getting a few lakhs now, don't study. No, I wouldn't, because not all can be Sachins or Virats making crores. We have to. I ensured that I graduated and joined the bank, and I went up to the ranks of a general manager of a nationalist bank. You should know when to play and when to study, because exams time and all, we'll have to skip some matches. The BCCI secretary himself was very favorably inclined, and he ensured that pay parity for international matches is done. So now, whatever a Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma will get, Harman and Smriti will get it. But it's only a small step.
Hello and welcome to HT's weekly talk show, The Interview. The decision of the BCCI to bring women cricketers at par with men and ensure pay parity is a huge step forward. The decision has largely been welcomed with a hope that there is more in store. What are the issues that plague women's cricket? What are the gaps and what needs to be done? And who better than Shantha Rangaswamy to tell us all? Popularly known as the founding mother of women's cricket in India, she is the first woman Indian captain and also one to score the first century for India. 3 years ago, she became the first Indian woman cricketer to represent the BCCI Apex Council. Earlier this week, she was elected member representative and director of the Indian Cricketers Association. She's seen it all, from women cricketers not being paid their laundry bills to their traveling second class. We speak to Shantha Rangaswamy, our guest in this edition of HT's weekly talk show, The Interview. Welcome to the show, Miss Shantha Rangaswamy, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Kumkumdi.
Let me begin with your belonging to an era when people did not relate to women playing cricket at all. In fact, they came to see whether women played in saris or skirts rather than watching the game. From there to now, how much has changed? And we will talk about the pay parity a little later, which of course is making news.
I think there's been a transformation uh, since the early 70s to now. See, it's almost 50 years since women's cricket started in India. Started in 73. India, West Indies, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, we were all wearing trousers. But England, Australia, New Zealand, they were all wearing skirts. And they used to get the knees bruised, especially on a hard surface of India. Now, uniformly, everyone wears trousers. Because of our consistent performance in the international arena, that they woke up and realized that women's cricket has arrived and has come to stay.
So, what have been the changes since from then to now?
The concept, you see, the acceptance level, initially, typical reservations were there, but now it's widely accepted. Gradually, they realized that women's cricket is not a fad or a fancy. The sheer love and passion that we had for the game got transformed into a performance on the field.
Vis-a-vis facilities, a lot has changed. You even fought, if I'm right, for their laundry bills, which remained unpaid. There were 16 cricketers pushed into one room. So take me through that.
Initial days, when the game, women's cricket per se, was in its infancy in India, we traveled more often than not in second class unreserved, basically because there were no third class by then. That had gone off. So we were put up in dormitories, in schools, classrooms. You see, our travel was always by train and invariably unreserved. And we used to travel. We had um, a suitcase, a hold all, and the cricket kit, and we used to carry it ourselves. And invariably on the train, even ladies unreserved, en route, some men would climb, which was typical those days. And we had to fight, sometimes even physically, to ensure we have even pulled the chain and called the guard to evict those gentlemen out of the ladies' compartment.
What about unpaid laundry bills?
Yes, there were bills not paid and things like that. But then I suppose those receded into the background mainly because we wanted to play.
You have always led from the front. You fought for women cricketers' pension and you fought for their getting facilities, as I said. But pay parity was never on the anvil. It was a dream that perhaps was on the list and the one that would never come true. Would you agree with that perception?
I agree. There are a lot of issues still where women cricketers are not treated at par. But then we have to remember men's cricket started in India in the 1920s, if I'm right. We started 50 years later. In fact, in my entire cricketing career spanning 21 years, I did not earn a single paise as match fees or anything. But then we realize it, and now we fight for it. We don't fight, we speak for it. And fortunately, this time in the Apex Council meeting which I attended, the BCCI secretary himself was very favorably inclined, and he ensured that pay parity for international matches is done. So now, whatever a Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma will get, Harman and Smriti will get it. But it's only a small step. In fact, I would have been happier had, we had match fees parity in the domestic setup. But then I did raise it. I was assured we will take it up in course of time, because they have to, it involves financial outlay, and they have to plan for it, budget it. I'm sure in the next 10 years, many of the issues that we were fighting for then will fall like a platter in the plate of women cricketers, which I'm very happy, because we didn't get, so what, but let the current lot get. That's the attitude we had.
Though you say it is a small step, yet would you describe this small step as a windfall for women cricketers?
I won't say windfall, because now you look at the contract system, central contract. The top men cricketers in the A plus category get 7 crores annually, whereas the top women cricketers get 50 lakhs.
I was just coming to that. While there is parity in the match fee, there is no change in the retainership payment system. And there is a wide gap. Male cricketers, as you just said, are paid in crores, while women cricketers have to make do with a few lakhs. And whether, that is set to change.
I don't see that happening immediately, but in the years to come, yes, it will happen. If not the same, you tell me, even Wimbledon or French Open, it's a much established sport, tennis, where women's sport is keenly followed. They don't get the same prize money as the men do. So it'll take time. We'll have to bide our time. When the funds are generated, when there is fund flow, I'm positive it will be passed on to the women cricketers. It's a matter of time. We should not be in haste and kill uh, the hen that's laying the golden eggs.
There is a view that this pay parity which has come about is a mere eyewash, if I may use the term, because the big money is the retainership payment, which has remained unchanged. What would you say to that?
By calling a positive step as an eyewash is not going to help us. They were getting 1 lakh for per test. Now they'll be getting 15 lakhs. They'll get 6 lakhs for a 1 day game and 3 lakhs for T20 as against 20,000, 40,000, 50,000, something like that. I agree. It's catering to a limited, because it's only the contracted players who play for India will benefit. But the real change will be when the domestic matches attract equal pay, because that will benefit 200, 300 players. The cross section of the cricket players, they will stand to gain. I'm positive that will happen. If not, I agree about the retainer fee. There's a big gap, gulf. But then we also have to think, what is it that we are generating for the game? If that gets generated, it will come back to us.
Another downside to this is that girls will now start taking external examination and maybe drop out from school or college since there is a career in cricket which they see. How can this challenge be combated?
The girls themselves and the parents and the families have to realize, I will never say, okay, you're getting a few lakhs now, don't study. No, no, I wouldn't, because not all can be Sachins or Virats making crores. We have to. I ensured that I graduated and joined the bank, and I went up to the ranks of a general manager of a nationalist bank. Everyone should realize that you cannot neglect your studies just for the short term gains of the game.
But do you think this step of pay parity does pose this challenge?
Maybe, but I wouldn't, because I would advise the families, the parents, to make sure that they don't lose sight of the long run. So I would only urge the current cricketers, if they watch this show, do not neglect your studies for this.
So, what you are saying is studies first, career first, and cricket later.
It could go hand in hand. It's not necessarily that either this or that. No, you should know when to play and when to study, because exams time and all, we'll have to skip some matches.
Or skip studies?
I would never advise anyone to skip studies.
I get the impression that even while pioneering women's cricket, somewhere you feel that it has second place.
Not really. I would say you have to have, in life, you have only one goal, you have multiple goals. And it's not necessary that if you're pursuing one goal, the other one gets neglected. No. There's somewhere you have to do the right mix, right combination.
In the Indian context, when a girl is born, she is given a doll, and a boy is automatically handed a bat. Do you think pay parity is set to change this mindset?
It has already changed, in my opinion, even without pay parity, though this came only now. You take people like Mitali and others who become household names. I think those ideas have changed over a period of time, and they'll change further.
Do you see the pay parity taking effect in the sense that it would encourage girls at the grassroots level to take up cricket?
Very much so. I think that's That's one of the, it's a very good question. Yes, my is a very positive and loud yes, because parents will be worried about the future of their wards, of their kids. So if they feel she can be financially compensated for playing, they'll be more inclined to let their children play. I think it's a very big yes, and a loud one at that.
Pay parity is one step forward. What more needs to be done?
Pay parity at the Indian team level, I feel it's a big step, but the best would be if a if a lady cricketer playing for the state can get the same thing like a Ranji cricketer. Domestic level, if there is pay parity, it'll be a big shot in the arm, because it will improve the lot of 300 to 400 cricketers. Whereas this is only the contracted players, 20, 22, 25 maximum. That I feel will come in very fast in the next couple of years or 3 years from now. I'm very positive, because the thinking in BCCI at this point of time, they're very liberal in their approach and want to encourage the women folk.
So, as I understand, this is a task half done.
It's a task well begun. I feel the biggest thing that BCCI can do is to ensure pay parity in the domestic setup. So every girl, some 300, 400 girls, will be making some 3 to 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs per annum playing domestic cricket, which is, I feel, a windfall.
Going back long years, when you played cricket, how did it feel when men played on the turf and women on matting, wicket, rough fields?
See, when we started, say 10 years before we started, men were playing on matting. Interstate matches, Ranji matches were played on matting. My point is, everything will change for the better. I would only urge my fellow cricketers, let us not crib. Let us look. And I'm positive in course of time, things will improve to such an extent that all of us can be proud that we were part of the setup where women's cricket has now come to that stage.
Would you say that even after the merger of the Women Cricket Association of India and BCCI, women cricket has remained, in one sense, a stepchild?
I can't agree to that. At one point of time, yes, but not in the last 10 years or so. We cannot be cribbing anymore, because, firstly, things are improving. Secondly, there's a willingness on the part of the BCCI office bearers to change it for the better. So, nothing, even the Russian Revolution or whatever, it never happened overnight. I'm positive things are looking up, and I'm very confident of a very bright future for women cricketers and women's cricket.
Ms. Shantha Rangaswamy, thank you very much. Thank you for your time and thank you for being here with us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me, too.